We talked about it several times today that the transformative power of AI, and specifically Gen AI, when it's brought to organizations, it becomes a team sport. That there are a lot of stakeholders that should be at the table and be aware of the change that's coming their way to make this a successful initiative. So today we talked about the internal stakeholders, the external stakeholders, the impact on your workforce, the impact on your IT landscape. And because we had that vantage point and holistic approach about, these are the challenges that all organizations, with whatever level of maturity that they have, they need to overcome, we put together a community of solvers, which means we brought partners from different lines of services that we have with their own respective expertise to the table. So when we talk to, for example, the public sector or even to our different clients, we want to make sure that we have that coverage of the breadth of the challenges so that we're ready to tackle whatever is the concern on top of their mind, whether it's changing the workforce, whether it's upskilling, whether it's revising their processes, whether it's about getting onto the cloud. So what we've done and where I think PwC has a unique position is that we don't just have cloud specialists or AI specialists. We really are a community of solvers. Today we also covered that generative AI specifically, it has what we refer to as versatile cognitive abilities. It means that it's capable of doing many things, right? The question here is, what cognitive abilities from this very powerful technology is a fit for our problems? So rather than taking a perspective that Gen AI can do these things and then overlay them on what we can do, what we should be doing is really sitting down and understanding the business issues that the public sector or different entities are facing, really map them out into where humans come into play, what data, what insights, what predictions, what judgments are being exercised. And when you actually do that process study and that exercise, then what happens is, more often than not only you identify relevant processes, not only in the process of understanding those processes, you might potentially uncover redundancies or opportunities for optimization. But really, when you break down those processes into logical piece of work, you begin to identify potential opportunities for automation, for intelligent automation, for process automation, for AI, and for generative AI. So I think what we need to do is we need to tackle it from both ends. We need to understand our processes and what part of those processes are a potential opportunity for improvement. And then we need to do an exercise at what technology is fit for that part of the process. And it's by only looking at this process from both ends that you truly find your efficiency and optimization points in the process. So one of the flagship services and offerings that we have at PwC, and we're very proud of it, is our Responsible AI Toolkit. Our stance has always been that responsible AI is how you do AI, how you procure AI, how you build and then eventually operate AI. That responsible AI should be there by design. So I would say one of the most important strategies is for you to understand your posture when it comes to responsible, moral, and ethical AI. And that strategy needs to be studied. I would even argue that you might need your own Gen AI strategy. It could be that niche, with the wider lens that these niche strategies should already be aligned with your overall business mission, your values at the organization. So once you actually have that as a backdrop of every conversation, that will guide you through your journey to operationalize AI. That will also guide you through what you're going to build, how you're going to build, what you're going to monitor over the operational lifetimes of these tools, but also if building or partnering is not an option and you're going to procure AI capabilities, what are the relevant questions that you should be asking? It's only by asking these questions from yourself during the development or during the procurement of AI that you can have a robust strategy in place that makes sure that your investment goes where it should go and you're accountable and you have some transparency and traceability of how decisions were made and what's the impact that you're rolling out with this technology. Earlier today, we also talked about the concept of knowledge workers. All of us, in whatever line of service that we are, we're either consumers of content or we create content. In the process of which sometimes we also make decisions, but really our work comes down to the knowledge that's being passed around, that's been produced. Obviously, generative AI is a very powerful technology to help us with efficiency on generating knowledge, efficiency and more accuracy in finding relevant knowledge. And therefore, if you really think about a day in a life of a knowledge worker, you will quickly realize that their ways of working are forever going to change once these types of technologies are integrated into their everyday life. So while the hype of the Gen AI in the beginning might have been associated with chatbots, the medium-term vision is that these technologies are going to be embedded in our everyday tool. And perhaps the long-term vision, it might sound absurd right now, but is that you will be able to talk to your business, right? So if the nature of work changes, and if you really think about the value chain of people who produce knowledge, who transform knowledge, and who consume knowledge, we really need to double down on reskilling and sometimes upskilling our workforce. Again, the idea is that the gain that you get in productivity is not meant to cut headcounts. It is to help them use their time efficiently and effectively. And whatever gain we get in terms of productivity is meant to be reinvested in more value-added tasks. But we also touched on the fact that, the success of your AI initiatives are highly dependent on the data that you have. And the definition of the right data, the right size of the data, the right form of the data, and where your data is stored is also very, very important. So if you really think about the future of work where data plays a very important role, you can logically deduce the very first thing that we need to do is we really need to double down on digital literacy, data literacy, analytics literacy, and at some point AI literacy. Now, that doesn't mean everybody needs to become a computer scientist. Not everybody needs to be a data scientist. You need to understand how to work with data, understand data, and when it comes to analytics, decision-making, predictions, or how AI models behave, you need to be aware of the red flags. So if you know what the red flags are, you know what to measure, to monitor, and when your AI systems start to behave differently than they were intended to, then you need to have that education about how you raise an alarm and how do we design fallback protocols? Where do we bring humans in the loop? All of this it might sound like it's a risk-based lens, but it's really about the future of work and preparing the workforce, the people who are building these systems, and the people who are the end users of these systems to aware of what's happening in the systems, right? So it's not just about forcing everyone to get a degree in data analytics. It's about understanding the signs when things aren't right.